وجاءوا على قميصه بدم كذب قال بل سولت لكم أنفسكم أمرا فصبر جميل والله المستعان على ما تصفون. وجاءت سيارة فأرسلوا واردهم فأدلى دلوه قال يا بشرى هذا غلام وأسروه بضاعة والله عليم بما يعملون. وشروه بثمن بخس دراهم معدودة وكانوا فيه من الزاهدين. We're going through the Tafseer of Surah Yusuf, and inshallah today we're going to start from ayah number 18. And the story, as people who participated in the lecture from before, they have heard that Yusuf alayhi salam had a set of brothers who were jealous of the fact that his father was more fond of him and his brother Binyamin more than them. So they set out a plot to remove Yusuf from the picture so that the whole attention of the father could be diverted towards the other sons, and they could have the love and affection that they craved from the father. So ultimately they decided, first of all, the idea was given that he should be killed, and ultimately they came to the conclusion that instead of killing him, let's just put him inside a well or something, and a passing tribe, passing caravan is going to just pick up Yusuf and take him away from us, and our problem will be solved. So this is what they did. They made an excuse to their father that tomorrow we're going out into the desert and we're going to race and we're going to just compete with each other and have some fun. Why don't you send Yusuf with us? And apparently, according to the wording we heard, that this was something that they had been persistent about for a long time, and finally Yaqub, the father of Yusuf alayhi salam, gave in and allowed them to take Yusuf, and they took him and put him inside a well and brought back a shirt with fake blood on it, and this is where the story resumes from today, ayah number 18. وَجَاءُوا عَلَى قَمِيصِهِ بِدَمٍ كَذِبٍ. And they brought forth a shirt, and on it there was fake blood. How was it fake? They slaughtered a goat or a sheep, and they took the blood of the sheep and they put it all over this shirt of Yusuf alayhi salam, and they presented it to Yaqub alayhi salam, saying that we went away racing, and while we were away, a wolf devoured him, a wolf ate him up, and this is his shirt as proof. Now Yaqub alayhi salam, he is not foolish. He sees the shirt, he sees the blood, and he sees that the shirt is completely intact. It has not been ripped to shreds. If a wolf had attacked him, there would have been holes in the shirt. It would have been ripped. So he knew immediately that there's something wrong. And he started to confront them about this issue. And of course they started changing their story, even to the point that according to some riwayat, one of them whispered to another one that let's say that instead of a wolf, a bandit actually took him. So he overheard the whispering, and he said that if it was a bandit, he would have more need for the shirt. He would have taken the shirt of Yusuf rather than taking his life. So even that story doesn't add up. So this was basically what happened. They brought this fake story, and Yaqub alayhi salam did not believe them, and basically he started interrogating them, and their story didn't match up. There's a saying in Arabic that in kunta kadhuban fakun dhakuran. In kunta kadhuban fakun dhakuran. What does that mean? That if you're going to be a liar, if you're going to be a persistent liar, then you also have to have a good memory. What does that mean? That when a person is always telling the truth, then he doesn't have to remember the lies that he fabricates and tells people. If a person lies, then he has to keep on remembering all the lies that he said to make sure that he's on the right side of the person that he's lying to. So this saying in Arabic, it's a proverb, that if you're going to be a liar, then also make sure you have a good memory. So this is exactly what happened. And whenever you have any kind of crime scene and detectives suspect somebody, what do? They send somebody in for an interrogation. So one person interrogates, and then another person goes in for what's called a cross-examination. Okay, so the second person makes sure that the stories add up. And then if there are 2 or 3 people that are accused, all of their stories, they have to match up. And if not, then obviously there's something wrong. So this is exactly what happened with Yusuf alayhi salam or Yaqub alayhi salam. When he suspected them, he didn't believe them, and he said to them the following: قَالَ بَلْ سَوَّلَتْ لَكُمْ أَنفُسُكُمْ أَمْرًا. The word sawwala, it means to relax. So when a person, he wants to relax, the word sawwala means that a person relaxes his whole muscles and his body so that he feels ease and he feels comfort. So Yaqub alayhi salam said to his sons that your nafs, your anfus, meaning yourselves, have taken this issue very lightly. قَالَ بَلْ سَوَّلَتْ لَكُمْ أَنفُسُكُمْ أَمْرًا, meaning that you're relaxing in this situation, you are at ease in this situation, whereas the situation is much graver than that. It's the loss of a son. A son is missing. And not only the son, but the most beloved son is missing. So this thing should not be taken lightly. قَالَ بَلْ سَوَّلَتْ لَكُمْ أَنفُسُكُمْ أَمْرًا. Your nafs has taken this situation very lightly. فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. So, a good patience. What does that mean? This is an incomplete sentence, and you can basically complete the sentence using your own wording. It means a beautiful patience, meaning that I need to adopt a beautiful patience. This could be the completion of the sentence. So what is the definition of sabrun jameel? Imam Thawri, Sufyan al-Thawri, he says that there are 3 things that define sabrun jameel, that make sabr a good sabr and a complete sabr. They are the following: أَلَّا تُحَدِّثَ بِوَجْعِكَ, that you should not be complaining about your pain. The pain that you're going through, you should not be complaining about it, you should not be making an issue out of it. The second thing is that وَلَا بِمُصِيبَتِكَ, and you should not be complaining about the affliction that you have come across and you are facing. وَلَا تُزَكِّي نَفْسَكَ, and you should not purify yourself, meaning you should not proclaim your purification, in the sense that a person, when he's going through difficulty and he's going through hardship, then he complains first of all to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "Oh Allah, I've been praying 5 times daily, I've been staying away from the haram, and I have done my best to be a Muslim, so how is it that I'm still faced with this difficulty? And why am I facing this problem?" So that's one aspect of tazkiyah of oneself. And another tazkiyah of oneself is when a person, for example, he's having a domestic dispute with his wife, and he is basically going through this difficulty of maybe heading towards divorce, or at least having an argument on a daily basis. And what does he do? He addresses his wife and says, "Didn't I do such and such a thing for you? Don't I provide for you night and day? Don't I go to work and really break my back doing all that I can to provide for the family? And so many years I've been doing it, and now after all these years you're giving me a hard time." So this is another form of tazkiyah of oneself, that a person in his difficult time, he is proclaiming that he's done so many good things. So these 3 things, Sufyan Thawri says that when a person is going through affliction and difficulty, if a person doesn't have these 3 things, and in that situation, then he has sabrun jameel. This is sabrun jameel, that a person doesn't complain about his pain, he doesn't complain about his affliction, and he doesn't do tazkiyah of oneself, meaning he doesn't proclaim his own purity, and he doesn't say good things about himself. So that is the definition of sabrun jameel, yani sabrun la shikwa fi, there is no shikwa, there is no complaint in that sabr. So So Yaqub alayhi salam, realizing that what's going on, he says, فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ وَاللَّهُ الْمُسْتَعَانُ عَلَى مَا تَصِفُونَ. Allah is the one whose help is sought in this thing that you're describing. So the question is that on the one hand, Yaqub alayhi salam is saying sabrun jameel, and then on the other he's saying that I seek Allah's help. So what that means is that seeking Allah's help in a difficult situation is not contradictory to sabr. Seeking Allah's help at difficult times is not contradictory to sabr. And that's why in every rakat of salah, what do you say? إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. Only you we worship and only your help we seek. Okay, isti'ana, as we see here, is only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for assistance, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to pull you through these problems, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that, and that this is not contrary, it's not contradictory to sabr. If a person is going to complain, he has to complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why in another verse of the Quran, إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ وَأَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. This actually comes later on in the surah. Yaqub alayhi salam, he says the same thing, that I complain about my grief and my difficulty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah alone. So to complain to Allah and to raise your hands in dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is not contradictory to sabr. Wallahu musta'anu ala ma tasifun. Allah is the one whose help is sought upon the things that you are describing. So the word that Yaqub alayhi salam uses is ala ma tasifun. Tasifun means from the word wasafa, yasifu, it means to describe something. So they were describing something which was not a reality. You only describe something when you are basically making things up. So another translation could be, Allah is the one whose help is sought about the things that you are making up. Ala ma tasifun. So the description that they are doing, it is a fabricated description, it is not something that is true. After that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes what happens to Yusuf alayhi salam when he's in that well. Allah says, وَجَاءَتْ سَيَّارَةٌ فَأَرْسَلُوا وَارِدَهُمْ فَأَدْلَى دَلْوَهُ. A caravan came. The word sayyara, it is the modern term. Sayyara is used to describe a car, but in the old days it referred to people that were wandering around. It's from the word sara yasiru, and sayyara means people that are wandering all the time, nomads, Bedouins. Okay, so this caravan of Bedouins, it came, فَأَرْسَلُوا وَارِدَهُمْ. They sent their warid. Warid refers to the person who goes ahead of the caravan and he looks for water so that the caravan can camp in a certain location. So they sent their warid, they sent this person to seek water, and he found the well, فَأَدْلَى دَلْوَهُ, and he put down the bucket. He put down his bucket to try to take the water out of the well. And what happened? This happened, according to the Mufassirin, this happened after 3 days. A caravan came after 3 days, and there's a difference of opinion as to what was going on after that. Some scholars say, some Mufassirin, they say that the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, they were actually waiting by the well to see what would happen. So they waited. After 3 days, this caravan came, this person puts down his bucket, and Yusuf alayhi salam, he grabs the bucket and the person pulls him out. And he says, Ya Bushra, hada ghulam. He says, oh, good news, this is a ghulam, this is a boy, a young man. And ghulam can also mean a slave. So basically, they intended to take him and sell him into captivity. So the difference of opinion amongst the Mufassirin is that who actually sold who and what happened. So according to one opinion, the brothers, they said, okay, this is our brother, or this is our runaway slave, and we want to sell him. So they sold him to the caravan, the people that were in the caravan, so they sold him as a slave. Another opinion is that the brothers were not there. The caravan people themselves, they basically took Yaqub alayhi salam and just assumed him to be a runaway slave and sold him later on down the line. So both these opinions occur, and inshallah, according to both of the opinions, inshallah, I'm going to translate. So it goes on. So, Ya bushra hada ghulam, the person who pulls him out, he says, oh, good news, there's a young man here, so he's happy that he can take this young man and sell him as a slave. That's one opinion. One opinion is also that Bushra was the name of one of his companions, his traveling companions. And he said, oh, Bushra, meaning is the name. Oh, Bushra, here's a boy here. So both opinions exist from the perspective of the word Bushra. وَأَسَرُّهُ بِضَاعَةً. So they hid him in the form of goods for sale. So again, both opinions here can be taken. They hid him, meaning that the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, they pretended that he is a runaway slave for sale, and Yusuf alayhi salam, he doesn't say anything because he's afraid of his life. He's afraid for his life. So وَأَسَرُّهُ بِضَاعَةً, when the brothers, they secretly assume him or pretend that he is for sale, he doesn't say anything. So وَأَسَرُّهُ بِضَاعَةً means they secretly pretended that he was goods for sale. Another, according to the second opinion, وَأَسَرُّهُ بِضَاعَةً means that the person who pulled him out of the well, him and his companions that were with him, they secretly put him amongst the rest of the goods. They didn't want to tell the rest of the tribe, and they wanted to get the money for themselves for selling Yusuf alayhi salam. So it can also mean that the friends, the companions that pulled Yusuf alayhi salam out of the well, they hid him amongst the goods for sale, and they didn't disclose him to the rest of the tribe. Wallahu alimun bima ya'malun, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was fully aware of what they're doing. So again, if it's the brothers, it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continuously was watching them, and even to this point he was watching what they're doing, and he's aware of what they're doing. And if it's referring to the tribesmen, the Bedouins, then Allah is aware of what they were also doing. وَشَرَوْهُ بِثَمَنٍ بَخْسٍ. And again, this verse, if we keep both of the meanings in mind, they sold him for a meager price. For a meager price, either the brothers sold him after pretending that he was like a runaway slave or something, they sold him for a meager price. Or the tribes people, later on, they sold him for a meager price. What was the meager price? According to Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, they sold him for 20 dirhams, and Ikramah says 40 dirhams he was sold for, which is obviously a very small price to pay for a young man who is at the prime of his youth or approaching the prime of his youth. So they basically wanted to just get rid of him. If you assume that it was the brothers that wanted to get rid of him, basically they didn't want the situation to get out of hand and for them to start interrogating. So the best bargain that they could, they sold him as quickly as they could so that the tribe could take him and he could be gotten rid of. Okay, so with a very small price, ثمن بخس. And if it was the tribe that took him and sold him for a meager price, well, anything that they could get for him was a profit, right? Anything that they could get, it's a profit. So, for example, a person who, it happens all the time, is somebody approaches you on the street and wants to sell you a television, okay? The television is highly likely that it's stolen, right? And he offers it to you for 50. If you offer him 20, he'll take 20 because he wants to just get rid of it because it's, as the saying goes, it's hot. It's he could get caught with it, and if he gets caught, then it's stolen goods. He's going to get incriminated. So he wants to get rid of it for whatever price he can get. So the fact that this tribe, they found Yusuf alayhi salam, anything that they got for him, 20 dirhams, 40 dirhams, it was better than nothing. So they got him and they sold him for a meager price. وَشَرَوْهُ بِثَمَنٍ بَخْسٍ دَرَاهِمَ مَعْدُودًا. Just a few dirhams. Just a few dirhams he was sold for. وَكَانُوا فِيهِ مِنَ الزَّاهِدِينَ. And this price was such that they were careless about the price itself. It was so small, it was such an insignificant amount that they were zahideen from that amount. like the example that I gave you, what can a person get for $20? Hardly anything, right? But the fact is that when somebody wants to get rid of something, even $20 is something better than nothing. But if you look at it from the perspective of the amount, it's not something that you can do much with. So وَكَانُوا فِيهِ مِنَ الزَّاهِدِينَ means that the people that sold him, whether you assume that it's the brothers or whether you assume that it's the tribes people, they were zahideen, meaning they were needless of that amount. They didn't even need that amount. It was such a small amount. So inshallah we stop there and we'll continue with the tafsir next week, starting from ayah number 21. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq to understand and practice what is being said in her.